Desiring wealth is life force seeking fuller expression inside of me. Desiring wealth, desiring money is completely natural. Desiring wealth, desiring money is life force seeking fuller expression through you. You guys, I'm saying this multiple times for a reason, because it's a really big concept and it is not common conversation. This belief or mindset that having or wanting money, somehow makes you less honorable or less spiritual person or, less godly. Like I said, it comes up in almost all of my courses and workshops, right? And even if you don't believe this for yourself, or if you are recovering from this belief, I want to let you know that you still may be experiencing the effects of it, because it's really pervasive in our culture. And it's just, it's kind of part of the way that we talk about things, right? And the way that we think about things. And so, somewhere, somehow along the way, most of us picked up this belief set, right? We got this memo that somehow that, having money is bad, especially if we are a moral or a spiritual or a heart-centered entrepreneur, or if we are service-oriented in any way. It's rooted in a belief that in order to be a good person, we have to somehow sacrifice our own needs, right? That we have to charge less, or play small, or deny our own desires and just cater towards others, or overwork and over deliver, but not ask for that compensation, or do lots of things for free, or it's this compellingness that says we have to give more than we allow ourselves to receive. And this is, as women, this is a really big abundance blocker, right? It is blocking our abundance because it's part of this martyrdom syndrome. And we've talked about this in other live trainings that I've done, but this martyrdom syndrome is huge, and it's a big, big blocker. It's my belief that being wealthy, rich, prosperous, uber abundant, desiring material things, like wanting to be successful, that there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not greedy, it's not corrupt, it's certainly not less honorable or less spiritual or less soulful. Money is what I call an amplifier. And this is a really, really key point here. Money is an amplifier. And so money will not actually change you. Money doesn't change you. It doesn't make you something that you're not. You can't get money and then somehow become greedy. Certainly there are people who are greedy who have lots of money, right? And there's people who are greedy who are poor, right? That's not the determining factor. It's actually what's inside of you already. And money is just going to amplify who you already are. So if you have a generous spirit, you're just going to continue to be generous as you have more money. Certainly that's been my experience, as we've accumulated more wealth and have done, well, we've been able to be more generous with our donations and more generous with our time, or more generous with the ways that we serve in our community, right? Because we have more to give. And so we do, right? And that will be the same for you, right? So yes, you can be completely mega rich. You can be uber wealthy. You can desire material things, and you can still be generous. And I think this is so, so important. You can still be connected to God. You can still be connected to source. You can still be connected to spirit. You can still be connected and in tune with the universe, because essentially what you are doing is you are allowing more of that energy to flow through you as you become successful, as you become wealthy, as you become prosperous. And this is such an important point, you guys, because money is energy, right? And the whole point of this universe is one of expansion. It's one of growth. It's one of continuing to multiply outward. And the universe, God, source energy wants you to live your life to your fullest expression, because it's God, source energy expressing through you when you do. And so That is the truth, right? That's it right there. That's the truth. It's God's plan to seek greater fulfillment. And every living thing on this planet is seeking expansion and growth. And I think, like, even if we just look to nature, it's such a beautiful example of always springing forth, always, with the intention of growing, right? Always with the intention of multiplying, right? Of expanding. I mean, even as humans, right? Like, our evolution and the way that we keep going is by procreating, right? Like, making more of us, having children, and then those children having children, right? It's a constant expansion, right? Because if we are not growing, we are literally dying, right? I want to touch on a couple of these things, right? It's selfish to want more money, or I'm not worthy of deserving money. Asking for material things is ungodly. So again, going back to this natural example, that when you become more abundant, when you become more prosperous, when you become more wealthy, God's energy and source energy, the universal energy can actually can express itself and expand through us. And so what's happening is that God and the universe is actually deeply desiring that we expand ourselves. And so that we expand ourselves in any way that brings that joy, that brings that abundant experience. And so that could be through money. It could be like the joy that comes from receiving a new handbag or a beautiful pair of shoes, or it could be from, getting a material thing, like somebody bringing you flowers. Like it could be the joy that you experience of, I was sharing on my money mastery call earlier today, my coaching call with that group of women, that, the joyfulness of just even watching like animals play together, like that, there's so much joy in watching them express themselves that can bring joy to you. And that's the universe expressing joy and abundance through you, right? So all of these examples, God's not sitting there, the universe or source energy isn't sitting there and saying, well, this is worthy of, this is a worthy type of expression of abundance, and this is not, right? There's not like some sort of like system for that. It all goes back to emotions. And so everything that we are creating is energetic. Like, we are energetic beings. The whole universe is, and everything around us is energy. And so it all goes back to our emotions. If something feels really good, that's like God force energy. That's source energy. That's universal energy being able to express itself and expand through us. And this is not like regular conversation, you guys. This is not what we are taught, right? And so, yeah, I mean, Candace is saying, I was taught that you can't serve two gods. You can either serve God or want money, but it's one or the other. And so I don't see it this way, right? Because I don't think that we're not serving money. We're not serving our bank accounts. What we're doing is we're allowing that energy to express through us, through our success, through the services, right? And the money that's coming to us is just an indication of that impact, right? It's an energetic exchange between the services that we're providing, or the value that we're creating, and then it's coming to us, right? And then it's flowing to us, and then it gets to flow through us. And as we use that money, as we save, spend, generate, make, invest, manage that money, then that energy is also then expressed through us. And all of that creates expansion. All of that creates more. All of that is amplifying what's available. And, the very act of living, you guys, requires that we are forever becoming more. Because again, it's just like a houseplant. Like, if you stop watering it or taking it out of the sun, it's going to be wilting, right? And so even like a houseplant is seeking the sun, it's seeking more water, it's seeking more growth, right? And it needs those resources to be able to do it, because it's got to take that energy and transmute it through it to keep growing, right? And we're no different, right? Money is just energy, and it's a resource, it's a tool that is here for us to live our lives to fullest expression, for us to create, joyous memories by allowing us to like go on exciting vacations. If you guys were following me last week, I was in Hawaii with my family, and we were on the beach and, exploring and snorkeling and doing amazing things. And all of those things cost money, and, created beautiful memories for me and my family together, because we were able to use that money in a way that, expressed joy, created experiences that, were really fun and memorable. right? So that's how that works, right? It's innate. Every living thing has a desire for expansion and growth. And so that desire for money, that desire for success is just part of that natural expansion. And that's how I want you guys to start to think about this and to really start to take that on as a belief. Because if you think about it, like when you really sit with that emotion of, being successful, having money is just a natural part of my expansion, that feels really good, right? Because that's just you allowing energy to flow through you in a natural and abundant way. And the thoughts of, oh, I can't have money and serve God, right? I can't believe in God and have money, or I can't be a good person and have money. Like, that doesn't feel good. That feels resistant. It feels like a block. It feels tight. It feels restricted, right? And the source energy wants to flow. It wants to expand, right? Think about it, like even a little seed that is dropped into the ground, right? That we would if we were to clear a little space and put a seed in the ground and then tap it and water it, right? It wants to grow. It wants to stretch out roots and root in, and then it wants to fulfill its promise by growing up into a beautiful plant or a tree, right? Where it's going to then drop more seeds so it can grow more trees or plants, right? It's that same principle, right? Desiring riches, desiring wealth, desiring prosperity is your desire for life seeking fulfillment through you. Desiring wealth is life force seeking fuller expression inside of me. Desiring wealth, desiring money is completely natural. Most, especially women, we have been trained to serve others' desires, right? We have been trained to not express what we want, not to be too bold, right? Not to feel like it's somehow shameful to speak out that we want to be wealthy, that we want to create success for ourselves, right? And I want to remind you that it is absolutely natural to want more. I had a conversation the other day. I was on a podcast and we were talking about this, and I just said, take a note from, any man who's out there working in the workforce, right? They're going to tell you they want a promotion. They're going to tell you that they aspire to have, this fancy car, or they're going to tell you that they want to get to this rank, or they want to get to an income of X, right? And they're not going to have any shame about that. They're not going to feel like somehow they're going to be disconnected from God if they do that, right? Or they're less of a giving person or less generous somehow if they do that, right? They're just going to feel like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do and I'm going for it, right? And it's because as women and culturally, sometimes we have been trained to play smaller, to desire less, or to just serve others. And so that martyrdom syndrome is really based in the zero-sum thinking. It's based in lack and scarcity, right? Zero-sum thinking being that, by somehow you having less, more will be available. And it's just not the truth. The sunshine is a perfect example. By you, not staying out in the sun, it's not going to somehow, or hiding in the shade, it's not going to somehow give more sun to other people, right? It's just energy that's coming, it's available, it's here, it's available for everybody. Money is the same way. It's energy that is flowing constantly and it's always available. And so by taking less or having less or desiring less, you're not creating more for others. You're actually, if anything, you're restricting the flow, because in the desiring more, in the launching that desire, launching that creative expression, wanting to be of service, wanting to contribute and make money from it and be massively compensated and love that people get to pay you and buy the things that you want to buy, you're actually expanding energy. You're expanding the potential. You're allowing energy to flow unrestricted and free. So powerful. Desiring money is life force seeking fuller expression through you. That is such a powerful affirmation. And I want you to remember that, right? That God wants you to be rich. God wants you to be abundant. The universe, source energy wants to flow through you, and your wealth, your success, your expansion allows that energy to flow freely, and that it's 100% natural to want more, right? And that, we feel that every day in our experience and just around normal things. Like, once you've felt happy, like you want to continue to feel happy. You want more happiness, right? Once you have experienced love, you want to continue experiencing love. And that once you've experienced love, there's, especially if you've ever you've been in a relationship, you've experienced love, and then you realize that that love just keeps building, right? And I remember when I was a mother, I thought oh wow, how am I going to have more love for this little being? And then it's you realize that the love expands, right? And that you have enough love for this little being, and you have love for your husband, and you have love for your life, and the love keeps expanding, right? That it's unlimited, right? And that's totally natural. That's the way it's supposed to work. And there's no difference with money. Money is energy. It's a tool. It's a resource that's here to support us, that's supposed to flow to us, just like love, right? And so the thing is that we get all mixed up because we have these belief sets that aren't in alignment with that, right? That keep us separate from that somehow. And I was thinking about this today, and I expressed it on my money mastery call that, alignment is really when we get into this place, this really beautiful sweet spot where we realize that, alignment is when our desires and our belief set of what's possible for us are actually a match, right? That's when we have total alignment. When we actually, what it is that we're desiring, we believe we can have, right? It's that simple. That's the alignment. And so I want you to get into this understanding that what God is desiring for you in terms of wealth and resources and riches is probably even more than you have allowed yourself to imagine, right? And that you get to have that, right? And that you are, you can create that, right? And that creation of that only fulfills your promise, right? It's part of the natural plan, right? So this is your reminder that no ask is too big, right? Because God's plan is generally way bigger than your own plan, right? It's a much more expansive view, right? The universe sees everything that is a potential that you can have, right? And wants you to fulfill that potential, wants you to express that potential. And so no ask is too big, right? The piece is that you have to create alignment with it, right? And so this is a lot of the work that we're going to do, that we do inside of Money Mastery Academy with my students there, is creating that alignment so that you are actually in alignment, so that your desires and your belief set that you can have it are a match, right? Because that's what alignment is. You desire it and you believe you can have it, you've got alignment, right? And so that's the work. That's the work. It's just coming back to the belief set that, yep, I can have that, right? And so for you with wealth, it's if, God's plan is here for you, and that, yes, you can have all of this money and you can have all this abundance, it's coming into alignment with what do you believe you can have, and then allowing yourself to have that, and then expanding from there, and then expanding from there, and then expanding from there, right? Because that's the natural plan, right? That's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to go. Right. And I have coaches and teachers who, often told me, if you can, if you can desire it, if you can imagine it, it's meant to be yours, and that you cannot miss out on it. And I have adopted that phrase and, teach it myself, because it's such a good reminder, right? That we're allowed to have all of our desires, right? And if we can picture them, if we can visualize them and sit in the good feelings of them and relish in that desire and match up to it with our beliefs, it's meant to be ours, and it will be created. We cannot miss out on it, right? God, source, the universe wants to see us living in our fullest expression, wants to see us thriving, right? And so it's our job to get into the energy of refusing to subscribe to any reality where we don't thrive, right? Because we are way, way, way more powerful than we think. And, we get to enjoy abundance, right? We get to enjoy money. We get to experience the stability and the consistency and the reliability and the joy of having money and allowing ourselves to use it and spend it and earn it, and save it and manifest it and generate it and create it with ease and flow and just allow it to be. God wants me to be rich, wealthy, and abundant. If that feels right to you, I want you to type that into the comments right now. God wants me to be rich, wealthy, and abundant, right? That's your affirmation. That's what I want you to hold and take from this. God wants you to be rich, wealthy, and abundant. I'm going to say it again. God wants you to be rich, wealthy, and abundant. And if you want to sub in universe or source or whatever the word is that you like to use, then do that. Use what feels good to you, right? Part of your job and part of all of our jobs is to normalize success, to normalize that as women, like, and as, you know, leaders in this planet and, you know, men as well, that like expanding abundance is natural and possible for all of us. And you can be rich and spiritual. And that would be, you know, the last affirmation that I would leave you with. I can be rich and spiritual. You know, I can be prosperous and generous. As a child of the divine, I am meant to be abundant, right? That, you know, all of that is God force energy expressing through you, and that abundance is your divine birthright. You were born with the right to be abundant, period. You were born enough. You were born worthy. You don't have to prove it. There's nothing that you have to do in order to earn that. Like, it just is. That is the truth. And I think that's the big hang up here, is that we have to remember that God wants us to be wealthy. God wants us to be abundant. God wants us to be prosperous. God wants to have all of our desires fulfilled. He wants to, you know, this energy wants to see us happy, fulfilled, joyous, vibrant, living our best lives, right? Because that's where energy expands. That's where energy creates more. That's where it elevates to higher and higher vibrations and allows even more rich experiences to be created. I mean, just think about it in your own life, right? It's like the good just leads to more good, right? It tacks on and it expands it, right? And elevates all of us. And that's really the desire of this universe. It's not any different. Going back to, like, you can have either this or you can have that, right? And so there's clearly, like, there's some beliefs that's in the way of that. So getting clear about what's that belief that says, like, you can't have both, right? Like, what's going to happen if you have a lot of abundance and wealth? Like, why couldn't you also have a happy family and great relationships? Like, what's the disconnect here? What's the example that you saw that taught you that that wasn't possible, or that, you know, for a lot of people, it's sort of like, well, like, you're going to, like, get exhausted, you're going to have to work too hard, and then you'll have no time left over. Or, you know, what's the belief that's in the way that's not allowing you to bridge that, to believe that it's not an either or, but it's actually an and, right? That no ask is too big, that, you know, you could have both of those things, right? And you could have support systems or people who are helping you that allow you to create your wealth or your success with more ease, right? Or a team, or that allows you still to have time for your family and to pay attention and cultivate your relationships, right? That you're not going to be less of a good parent if you also have, you know, a focus on your work, that might allow you to be even more present or more mindful when you are with your family, right? I don't know where that belief is, but rooting out that belief that says you can't have both is going to be really, really important for, you know, moving out of that and really allowing yourself to have both. No ask is too big. I get to have all the things I want, period, right? No ask is too big. I get to have all of my desires just because I want them, right? Just because you want them, like, you don't have to earn them. And that your desires are life force energy, like, expressing itself through you, right? It's like God energy, it's universal energy, it's source energy expressing through you. It's part of the natural expansion.